watching Worldview with me, Gaurie Dwivedi. It's a great day to have a conversation around Quad. I've already had those conversations earlier, so I'm not going to repeat myself a lot. But there are four important takeaways from India's decision to include Australia into the Malabar exercises. Point number one, it means that it will now be a full-fledged quadrilateral military exercises, naval exercises that will take place in the Indo-Pacific region this time around. It could pave the way for greater alignment between the four navies. Its second important implication is that India has shared its reluctance around taking on China openly. Till now, there was hesitation on part of India as to whether they should back an anti-China alliance or an anti-China formation so brazenly. That, of course, has ended now, which is why it is now clear that they will include Australia into the exercises. Implication number three is that this would pave the way for possibility of quadrilateral security dialogue to be upgraded to possibly include interoperability, upgraded to possibly include a greater military alliance. It may not necessarily be a treaty like the NATO or the Warsaw Pact, but you don't really need to have a treaty as Russia and China engagement indicates. You don't need a formal treaty. You need a formal and a clear understanding and an alignment of security and priorities. It's there right now, and I think that itself could be very significant. The other implication is for some of the smaller countries, the ASEAN members, who've been frankly bulldozed into accepting a unilateral change in their sovereign territory and their land being taken away. 3,500 hectares of land has been reclaimed by China in setting up of these 7 islands. That's the brazenness of China. And since then, it has now militarized those islands. 3 of them have been militarized. And more so, the South China Sea now has anti-access, anti-denial technology put in place by Chinese Navy, which means it can shoot down aircrafts as well as submarines with a lot of ease, which is why all 4 navies need to come together. Now, essentially, all of this means that the ASEAN members know that there is now an alternate mechanism, which means that if China continues its aggression, the 4 navies will come to ensure that the Indo-Pacific region stays safe, fair, free, open. So to that extent, this is an extremely important decision by New Delhi. It could also pave the way for the kind of talks that India and China will have. Remember, there's an 8th round of talks that will take place between the 2 sides on the issue of Ladakh, the border skirmish that continues. But with India now shedding its reluctance, it makes a lot of difference when you have and sit on the negotiating table with China. That could be extremely significant. The only other equally important takeaway, but something that could be a dampener, is the fact that the US is in all probability set to see a change of guard. Trump, by all polls, seem to be trailing right now. And if that happens, and if Joe Biden comes to power, will some of this be watered down? Will some of this enthusiasm be reduced? Possibly yes, because the policy document of Democrats doesn't have a lot of quad in it. But even then, if there is an alignment of intent, alignment of security priorities, it is the strongest possible message that Beijing can get in the Indo-Pacific region. Well, that's all I have to say in this edition of Worldview. I'm going to be back on Friday at 9 p.m. With another interesting conversation around events around the world that have an impact on New Delhi and New Delhi's say on matters that are impacting